Okay, perfect. So without further ado, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. My name's David Ibarra Martin. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm a senior solutions consultant here at Symtrax Corp, and I've had the privilege of helping companies along their digital transformation journeys. And I'm thrilled to be here with you today as we explore how AI can revolutionize the accounts payable process through automated three-way matching. As I alluded to previously, with me today is Juan Rivera. He's our solutions consultant who also has years of hands-on experience in helping organizations streamline their data and document management workflows, and specifically also with accounting workflows. So Juan has been instrumental here in guiding companies to leverage technology in the effort to reduce costs, minimize manual errors, and enhance visibility across their financial operations. So with that introduction out of the way, Juan, um, wanted to just kind of give you a chance to talk a little bit more.
Thank you, David. That's probably one of the nicest and introductions I ever had. Usually it's like, "Hey, here's Juan," and I'm like, "Hi." Uh, so for those of you working in AP teams, you'll know that the three-way matching process, when it comes to comparing the purchase orders with the receives or with the goods of received services, the invoice, it is a critical aspect of financial management. It ensures accuracy, validates payments, and helps prevent errors and fraud. However, despite its importance, this process comes with its own set of challenges. Hopefully today in today's webinar, we're going to be exploring the most common issues associated with a three-way match, and we'll discuss strategies to make this process more efficient. So let's dive right in.
Let's dive right in. Absolutely. And that's even more pertinent with today's flash floods in LA. So I might be diving right in later today. Alrighty. So today's agenda, as you can, everybody here's seen an agenda, I'm sure, but just to walk you through what an agenda looks like, we're going to talk about Symtrax, who it is, who we are, what we do. Then I'm going to outline the problem that we're addressing and discuss some of the key challenges associated with the three-way matching process. Three-way match, as you guys know, is ever so important in accounts payable. Then after that, we're going to explore best practices for AP managers to overcome these challenges with the end goal of enhancing team performance. Subsequently, we're going to explain the importance of embracing emerging technologies, particularly technologies that leverage AI and machine learning, and why it's more crucial now than ever before to integrate them into your current processes and accounting systems. After all, guys, I mean, it's 2025, right? We're a quarter of the way through the century. So after all of that, we're going to finally, or toward the end, I guess, we're going to introduce Symtrax's proprietary solution, that's us, the Compleo invoice platform, which is designed specifically to streamline the process for busy AP teams, in which we'll take you through a demo of the solution. Finally, after all that's happened, we're going to wrap up the session with a Q&A segment to address any questions that you might have. So again, starting with the about section, about us, we've been in the business for 30 years. What that business is crafting, tailoring, and seamlessly integrating customer-specific, platform-independent, highlight on platform-independent, software solutions along with cloud-based automated document interchanges. We've associated with over 3,500 customers over those 30 years, and these customers vary across different horizontals, different verticals. Um, we're still working on the diagonals, and I think we've gotten a pretty good job with that. And we can meet the needs of all industries by developing customized solutions. We have 8 offices across the globe, and with these offices' strategic positioning, we're able to offer a solution for anybody across the world. On average, we have 12 years of customer loyalty, and you can also see that we are SAP certified. We can integrate with SAP NetWeaver, but we've also are Microsoft certified and IBM certified. We have all the necessary certifications to give you that peace of mind and the trust that we are, a capable um, solutions partner. Now, when it comes to our expertise, you can see here the 4 categories that we specialize in, because after all, we offer a digital business platform that seamlessly connects with your existing systems, whether it's on-premise, cloud, or SaaS-based, going from the top down, right? Or yeah. So essentially, we offer digital data and document transformation. Um, with that, we enhance and automate your business processes. After that, we offer EDI-ready process automation. That's so that you can experience secure data exchanges and basically make sure that EDI, you can modernize it and improve it with API technology. As you may be aware, APIs are kind of the sequel and the successor to EDI technology. So we offer solutions in that realm. We also offer signature solutions to customize and automate digital and electronic signature workflows for your entire enterprise. And then finally, which is going to be the focus of today, enterprise e-invoicing, right? Where we're going to be able to show off the electronic invoice platform capabilities, where you can automate e-invoicing with secure integration in multiple countries and just enhancing the overall flow and feel of your AP team. So I've been talking a lot. Go ahead, Juan. I want to make sure that you get a chance to talk about the overview and the problem we're going to be addressing.
Sure, David. I mean, if it was me, you would be doing all the talking. I would just be standing here and nodding my head.
I
Uh,
know.
yeah. So let's go over this. So have you ever considered how much manual invoice processing is costing your company, right? And so I recently came across a report that really opened my eyes to the true cost of manual invoice processing. According to research for Gartner, the average cost of processing an invoice ranges between $4 up to $25. But for more complex or for error-prone invoices, this cost can skyrocket up to $50. These higher costs typically arise when manual intervention is needed to correct errors or to manage expectations. And as an AP manager, I'm sure you've analyzed the cost of invoice processing, but I wanted to share a little bit of a broader perspective. I think that a lot of, or if not most organizations, they primarily pay attention to direct costs, but it's essential to factor the significant indirect costs to get a true picture of the financial burden. For instance, a fair cost assessment should include at least, the fully loaded cost of all headcount involved in the AP process, whether they are full-time, part-time, or seasonal employees. We also have to go over the cost of all associated software, IT infrastructure, and other support costs specific to that AP functions. We have to also think about the AP teams may also incur unnecessary costs from late payment, missed early payment discounts, or fees related to fast payment, regarding the supplier terms. And the inefficient processes, right? That includes three-way matching, can lead to delays, further increased costs. For example, when approvers have to step in to review and approve mismatched documents or resolve queries from suppliers, this places an additional burden on them and their respective departments, affecting productivity across the organization. It's all these other things that you and I, David, probably don't think about. We don't look at it. We don't see it, and it adds up to the cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's good to practice, for a good practice to include all of those factors to get a clear view of the true cost of invoice processing. Now, I'd like to walk you through some of the most common challenges that AP teams face, and I think that most of the things they're gonna ring a bell. Like you're gonna be like, yeah, tell me about it. Like I deal with this all the time, especially when it comes to the three-way matching process. While it's true that invoice processes can present a wide range of challenges depending on the industry and location, I think that these are the ones that we're going to highlight that are the key issues that consistently stand out as the share across all sectors.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to have a listing of core challenges. The first one is discrepancies in data, right? Um, Essentially, as mentioned previously, this can show up pretty frequently in three-way matching between, of course, the purchase order, the goods receipt, and the vendor invoice. Timing differences can contribute to this. And specifically, when goods are received before the PO is updated, or perhaps even when the price changes, right between the order placement and the invoicing. So there can be a bunch of factors, right? Partial shipments, substitutions by vendors, mismatched units of measurement, yada, yada. These discrepancies create delays and inefficiencies, and they can really slow down the AP process.
Speaking about delays, delay in receiving the necessary documents can severely impact the accounts payable workflow. Vendors might not send invoices promptly, or good receipts might not be logged in a timely manner. That could be due to staff shortages or competing priorities. In some cases, the purchase orders might still be awaiting approval, and if documents are processed manually or through disconnected systems, miscommunication between departments further compounds this issue. These delays result in missed early payment discounts and worse, late payment penalties.
Right. The third one here is manual data entry, processing errors, right? It's inherently prone to humans. A simple typo, an incorrect product description, a misplaced decimal, these can all lead to these manual errors. So it's important that we have the ability to investigate and resolve these in a timely manner if they've occurred, but ideally, these just shouldn't be occurring. Errors at this stage can lead to prolonged payment delays and undermine the efficiency of the AP process.
We're going to go to the next one, which is handling exceptions. Exceptions arise when the data on the purchase order, the good receives, or the invoice don't align, right? And requiring manual intervention. For example, incorrect quantities or pricing discrepancies trigger exceptions, often due to vendor errors. Non-PO invoices, those without a linked purchase order, also fall into that category as they require additional manual review and approval. These exceptions are time-consuming to resolve, typically involve coordination across departments and manual corrections, which further delay processing.
Guys, we've been talking a lot about discrepancies, but I mean, these discrepancies can even lead to vendor disputes, right? And vendor disputes, as you know, may even lead to delays that can damage longstanding relationships, making it harder to maintain smooth operations with suppliers, especially as those suppliers get frustrated and, these disputes are unresolved over the long run.
And then you also have the lack of visibility and control. How do you know that there are issues within your AP department if you can visualize and see it, right? I think that's without like an integrated dashboard, it's difficult to track the status of invoices, whether they have been approved, if they're pending, if they're overdue. The lack of transparency slows down the identification and resolution of discrepancies and creates bottlenecks in the workflows. Additionally, it hampers decision making and makes it harder to manage cash flow or spot potentials issues early.
And following your train of thought, Juan, communication that's clear between purchasing, receiving, and accounting departments, that's going to be essential for a smooth three-way matching process. However, the core challenge is essentially when you don't have these things, right? When you don't have the clear communication, that's when there's breakdowns in these processes that are all interlinked. And so a simple query or an inconsistency can essentially lead into a larger issue. And this lack of coordination is going to essentially result in delayed approvals, inefficiencies, missed payments, and ultimately, what does that mean? It's going to further complicate the AP process. So it's important, guys, that this challenge is resolved in one way or another.
Right. And, last but not least important, right? The fraudulent activities. A recent IFOL study, I don't know if you guys heard about them. It revealed that 55% of finance teams wouldn't be able to detect an invoice fraud immediately. The manual handling of documents increases vulnerability to fraud, especially when fraudulent invoices appear legitimate. Invoices, like the invoice, the vendor, and the employee have the ability to commit fraud. And all of that's been increasing in the last couple of years. And not only does that lead to significant financial losses, but there's reputation damage, there's potential for legal consequences. An AP team needs robust systems in place to detect and prevent fraud early in the process.
Especially in 2025. So in conclusion, many of you have encountered some of the challenges we've outlined in your own three-way matching process. Moving forward, we'll break down how we can effectively address each of these core challenges. But before we get into that breakdown, I think now is a perfect opportunity to just kind of quickly ask you guys a question, right, via a poll. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that poll. And the question is, what is the biggest challenge you encounter during the three-way matching process. Feel free, everybody, to look at your computer screen. If you've been working on something on the side, I don't blame you. I know you guys' days can be pretty busy at work or at home, wherever it is that you are. But if you could just please just answer the simple question, what is the biggest challenge you encounter during the three-way matching process? Is it discrepancies in data, handling exceptions, vendor disputes, communication with other departments, or other? And if it is other, it's something that's not covered by these sort of catch-all bubble-in answers. Feel free to send it in the chat. Let us know. We're always curious to learn what exactly it is that, is most challenging for you during this three-way matching process. And as the votes get trickled in, see that we have a majority, dictionary definition, a majority of you guys have answered. Let's see if maybe in the next 10 seconds, a few more answer. But it's looking pretty good. And Juan, you won't believe it, but it is actually just like a split tie between the top four.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Okay.
seems like people's experiences are varied. People are just experiencing all sorts of issues, and that in and of itself is, just an indication of how complicated and how difficult this AP process can be. But thank you everybody for, you know, participating in this poll. And now we'll go ahead with the breakdown that I had talked about. Let's explore the best practices to overcome these issues in the three-way matching process. We're going to discuss why adopting a technology solution is more crucial than ever in today's environment. And we're going to highlight the key benefits it offers your AP teams. So here we have a little diagram, and take it away, Juan.
Sure. Let's start by embracing emerging technologies. First step should be to understand the importance of using modern technologies. Your goal should be to minimize repetitive tasks. And I'll repeat that again. Your goal should be to minimize repetitive tasks.
Let's see what you did there.
Yeah. Allowing technologies to handle them efficiently. However, it's essential to draw a clear line between what tasks you want to automate and what tasks should remain under the control of your team. Because, and we'll say this over and over, you heard me, you will never remove the human aspect when it comes to AP. There are some tasks that you can automate, but you still need a human being there.
Absolutely.
Next one will be, leverage advanced AI. So many organizations still rely on outdated OCR systems to extract data from invoices. These systems often deliver incomplete or inaccurate data and may struggle to read different document formats. Today's AI and machine learning power solutions can extract data from any file format or template within seconds, saving valuable time. It's equally important for an AP solution to incorporate intelligent decision-making algorithms. We'll go to the next one, and that's to ensure compatibility with ERP systems, right? A lot of companies still use legacy ERP systems that might not integrate easily with new AP solutions. It's important to assess whether your ERP has APIs available to support integration. If not, it might be worth considering an upgrade or finding an AP solution provider that offers alternative integration approaches.
Wink, wink, and nudge, nudge with that one, Juan.
Mm-hmm.
So, number 4, to maintain supplier convenience. It's really critical, guys, that we ensure that suppliers' workflows remain unchanged. If there's already, some sort of pushback that you may be feeling or some sort of unwanted, change is always difficult, right? So it's always important that your suppliers stay happy. You don't encounter those vendor disputes that we mentioned, and that you maintain those workflows. Your suppliers may be sending you invoices, whether it's by email, by post, or what we call snail mail, right?
Mm-hmm.
Via a web portal. Maybe you guys even have like an SMTP location or a shared folder. Whatever it is that you're doing with your suppliers, this should not be disrupted. A smart AP system will seamlessly integrate into your existing process. Subsequently, with global suppliers, emphasis on the global, you'll often receive invoices in different languages and currencies. So if this is the case for you guys, it's essential that you choose an AP solution that can accurately read and process these invoices especially if they're in different languages and different currencies, converting the data without introducing errors. A mistake at this stage could be colossal, could lead to significant payment issues. So it's important that your solution supports global operations. Finally, you want to choose a solution that's scalable and easy to use and flexible enough to adapt to your current workflows. So we've worked with accountants and AP teams and found that the best solutions will blend technology with human expertise. What this does is it gives teams the power to work more efficiently. At the end of the day, it's up to you to decide which aspects to automate and which require human oversight. Now, let's go over the benefits of implementing an automated solution. Again, the core benefit, one of them, is improved accuracy. We talked about manual data entry and how it's prone to human error. We also talked about discrepancies and delays. Automation will minimize these errors by ensuring that the PO, the invoice, and the goods receipt notice, or whatever you call it, right? It might even be like the warehouse ticket, but essentially whatever it is that proves that you've received these items, that it matches with the invoice and the PO. This results in a more accurate, streamlined process that will save time and resources. Juan, pop quiz. What do you think the next benefit's going to be?
Maybe enhance efficiency.
Wow, it's almost like you studied this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just another major advantage, right? You know that automation is going to help to instantly match documents, and it's going to allow your staff to pay attention to higher value tasks, such as like query management, financial analysis, or, ultimately it's going to help them become strategic leaders.
Correct.
What do you think the next one? Like, what do you think? Maybe it's not the one that comes to mind the most, but I think that primarily, like, I care the most about.
Well, if I know you, Juan, what you care the most about is money. So I'm going to say money, cost savings.
Yeah,
Okay, close
yeah.
enough. So speaking of efficiency games, cost savings, right? This automation delivers substantial benefits by cutting down on manual labor and increasing the rate at which the invoices get processed. What does this translate to? Lower operational costs. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Lower operational costs. Whoever's in the business of trying to save money for your company, this is right here, right? Automation helps ensure timely payments, avoiding penalties, and missed early payment discounts, which could otherwise affect your bottom line.
Let's talk about better fraud prevention. It is critical, and this is where automation really excels. You want a system that verifies that each invoice is legitimate by checking it against correspondent POs and GRNs. And that's going to add an extra layer of verification that is going to help detect and prevent fraudulent activities, ensuring that your financial operations are secure and compliant. David, there's so many like phishing scams out there and fake invoices, and like it's really difficult to know what's real and what's not anymore. And if a system can do it for me and it's trusted and it can be verified, it's one less thing for me to worry about.
I agree with you right there. And that's why fraud prevention is important. The next one is better visibility and control. With automation, you gain real-time visibility and control over the processes. No more having to phone in somebody else to see where they're at. You can just see what's been done, what hasn't been done. There's real-time monitoring on invoice statuses and payments. This ensures you have a single view of what's going on, right? An automated solution is going to include a comprehensive audit trail of all transactions across the business, making audits smoother and helping ensure regulatory compliance. In AP, there are so many different laws, right? So many different compliances issues, and these audits are always a pain, just a really big pain. So any tool that is embedded in your AP system that will give you less of a headache in the future, specifically with compliancy and audits, that's always what's always a boon.
Yeah. And finally, automation not only strengthens supplier relationship, but also enhances internal collaboration. By ensuring timely and accurate payments, automation builds trust, and it's going to smooth interaction with suppliers, right? Reducing the risk of disputes internally, An automated system is going to streamline communication between departments, ensuring that AP teams, procurement, and other key stakeholders are aligned. Overall, these leads to more favorable supplier terms and a more cohesive and positive internal and external working environment. I know, David, that you want to make sure that most of your interactions, not only with your vendors but also internally, are positive, right? You don't want to be the guy who every time you message somebody is like, "What happened now?"
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
I've
with a
already been that
system,
person before. I don't want to be that person ever again.
yeah, yeah,
All right. So, guys, a second question. Okay. Just a quick poll. Going
yeah.
to go ahead and launch it. And the question is, what is the current level of automation in your organization's three-way matching process? This is ultimately something that you can use to your discretion, how you want to calculate the percentage level of automation. You could either let us know that you guys are fully automated, or I guess I should
No
be no
automation.
automation. No automation. I don't
Yeah.
know why we put
Fully
fully automation.
manual. That says
Fully
fully manual.
manual. I'm misreading. See, there we go.
See,
That's
this
what
is
we
why you
call
need a
human
system that lets
error.
you know what it is. Yeah, it's human error.
Exactly. That's human error right there. That was the discrepancy between what I read and what was actually on the paper.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm not an AP, right? Um, no, but truthfully, fully manual with no automation, some automation between 0 and 25%, or mostly automation between 26 and 75%. Finally, there's also fully automated between 76 and 99.99999%. Why is it 99.99%, Juan, and why isn't it 100?
You're just never gonna eliminate the human aspect and factor in there. I truly believe that. Maybe 200 years from now, maybe when AI is not just doing the repetitive tasks but also folding and putting away my laundry. Maybe then we can eliminate human beings from AP.
Maybe then.
But
I
we're
mean,
not
at that point, humans won't be around, right? If it's just going to
there.
be robots transacting with one another. But okay, I
Yeah.
see that we've got a good amount of polls. I'm gonna go ahead and close, and it seems like we have a spread of
Hmm.
people being between no automation and up to 75. Interestingly enough, nobody has said that they're nearly fully automated. And that's
Yeah.
that's basically the expected result, right?
Right.
So let's go ahead and go over to the introduction of the Compleo Invoice platform, your favorite section of this presentation one. Now that
Yeah.
we've discussed the challenges, I'm going to pass it over to you so you can introduce the CIP. That's what we call it with our customers and internally, right? CIP.
Yeah, I think it can be a mouthful to always say a compliant voice platform. So we refer to it as CIP. And what is CIP? Well, it's an advanced AI machine learning power solution specifically designed to enhance the productivity of your AP department. With CIP, you can automate time-consuming tasks like three-way matching efficiently, ensuring accuracy, speed, and control over your AP processes. Um, let's go to the next
There we
slide.
go.
So that way we can show what an automated workflow looks like, right? Um, so the Complete Invoice platform is a versatile ERP agnostic solution available as a SaaS platform. I know that's a mouthful, that's a lot of keywords. So what we're trying to say is that whether you're using SAP Business One, S4HANA, Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle's, or IBM, CIP seamlessly integrates without redundancy. And here's how it works. So if we look on the left side, right, this is like your business likely receives suppliers via snail mail. You still might get every now and then somebody mails you an invoice. Maybe you get them through email, as most of you, I assume most of you get it through email. You might have invoice portals, or maybe you even have like share folders where they can see the information. What CIP does is it captures and extracts the data from those invoices using AI to verify the vendor details against your master records and immediately flags any discrepancies.
I'm going to stop you right there, Juan, because I just want to
Yeah,
get a little bit deeper into that concept, right? Where I'm going to
yeah.
zoom in. You can see that we've zoomed in into how there's these different receiving channels, like you mentioned. But I want to
Mhm.
also explain there's different companies and they all do invoicing and the reception of these invoices a little differently. You mentioned the receiving channels. I want to focus in on the different types of documents invoices that we can work with. We can work with a PDF or a visual digital document. as you can see on the screen, that's just, standard PDF invoicing, very common here in the States.
Yeah.
We also have for snail mail, right? You can scan it in, or you can even take a picture with your smartphone and just manually upload it, right? Or set up an automation so that when you take a picture, it gets sent to a location that gets picked up and into the platform, and you don't necessarily have to scan. You can just take a picture. Again, we're leveraging AI, so it can actually look at what honestly may be scribbles to some is data, actionable, transactionable data for AI. And then finally, this is not a picture of XML or JSON, but anybody that's seen XML or JSON, it's not meant for human consumption. It's meant for robot, it's meant for system consumption. They parse the data, it looks like code. And I wanted to show you how essentially this unreadable, uh, very difficult to read, essentially, file format, structured data that's machine readable, we can actually structure it to be a nice log that shows you the actual line items. So just wanted to kind of stop you there, Juan. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but please feel
Yeah.
free to continue with your explanation.
That's great. So basically, you kind of explain all the different types of invoices that we can hold and grab. And that's not all that it does, right? So CIP also breaks down any department isolations by enabling collaboration across teams. It allows for verification of details such as GRNs and detects any anomalies in supplier invoices, making three-way matching more efficient, especially for companies processing high volume of invoices. Then the extracted data is then synchronized with your ERP system, as you can see on the right side, and it provides real-time updates on the invoice payment statuses. Additionally, CIP ensures secure archiving of supplier documents, making compliance and future retrieval simple and reliable. And what we mean by archival, we don't mean we get rid of it, we put it somewhere else where you're not going to see it. What we mean is that we grab those invoices, and instead of using the resources from your ERP or your local system, we will keep them in the cloud, and it will be something that you can easily find and go through all the steps of from the invoice of like when it came in, who handled it, how long it took to be paid, whether there were any discrepancies, and it'll be available there without you having to like maybe print it as some people still do and put it in folders and use it in a closet somewhere out there, or try to save it locally on your computer and hope that you can find it 6 months from now.
Thank you.
Yeah, but instead of talking about it, I think that I should show you a demonstration, and we can, let's jump right into the demonstration for Complete Invoice Platform, and this one will be integrated with SAP S/4HANA. Again, we can integrate with different types of systems, so if you have a different type of ERP, we can do it as well. And what this is going to do is it's going to provide you with a first-hand look at how the features we discussed come together in action, showing you how efficiently the platform manages the entire process. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go over the supplier invoice processing workflow. We're going to go over from like the moment that you get that invoice, how we handle it, and how we start doing communication between different departments. So let's start. Okay. So here you can see it is a SaaS solution, meaning it is on a website, and most of you are probably familiar with just like getting an email with that invoice from one of your vendors with all the information there. And there'll be an attachment that you'll have to then either save as and save it somewhere, make sure that you know what it is, or you can open it and start working with a different screen where you will go over all the information of that invoice to match with what's on your system. So you have to go over line by line and manually make sure that everything matches and that it looks correct, right? It just takes a lot of time. It also, maybe you get it through an email that multiple people have access to. So you might be working on that invoice and somebody else could log in there and start working on it as well. So what we're going to do instead of doing that is we're going to click forward, and we are going to send that email to an email that we have created for CIP. It is an email just for your organization. And after we hit send, all you have to do is log into the Complete Invoice platform with your credentials. You don't, this is not something that is installed in your system. You can just simply log in, and you will see all the menus on the left side, from mail entry, dashboards, invoices, requests. And as you can see, I'm on mail entry, so I'm just going to load as we're getting that email that is coming in. And you can see a lot of information already, from who the sender is, the structure, which I'll go over in a second, the billing site, the number of attachments, the subject, when it was received. Maybe I don't like the way it looks, so I can autofill the columns, make it look a little bit better. And from then on, I can work on this invoice. Can you hear me there?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to the next one.
No, we're still there.
Yeah. Want me to go back?
Yeah, we were still there. If you could.
Yes, sorry about that. Technical issues, gentlemen and gentlewomen.
It always happens. It's okay. Yes, that should be fine. As we log in.
Sorry.
You can leave it there. So you see all the data before I even clicked on anything there, right? And so there's a lot of information from those invoices that came in. There's still a mail entry, so it's not. We don't know if it's an invoice yet or not. I think you have to click play again. It seems like it's frozen. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. So again, we can go over structures, which just basically means like maybe we handle invoices for separate offices or separate departments that need to pay for that. But now we have the step where it says that it needs to be reviewed, or if it needs to be processed. You can see all the mail entries that have been coming in. And if I go down, you can even see that you even have the option to reject something. So if something goes there by mistake, you will be able to reject it before it even goes to any of your accountants. So once you clicked in to review it, on the left side, you will see the entire body of that original email. So none of that information is gone. You see the times, who sent it, everything. It's right on the left side. Then on the right side, you can actually visualize the attachment that was there, the PDF. And so you don't actually have to download it. You can zoom in and take a closer look. Maybe you're working on a small screen. You even have the option to download it directly from there if you needed to download it for your records or print it or send it to somebody else. And then on the bottom left side, that's where you will see how our AI, is it frozen again, David? Yeah, there we go. Our AI has been working in on the left side. So it has the name of the attachment of the file, what it was, and it also has that it is an invoice. It already determined, as you can see, it's on green, so we know that this is an invoice. It looks fine, but there's different options for it. If I clicked on it, it could be a supporting document. It could be something I need to ignore. It could be something that is unknown. Many times you see that an email will not only just have that invoice, but it will have many other things. You also have the option to rotate. If somebody just scanned an invoice and it was, facing the wrong way, you can rotate it so you can read it in a better way. And then you have a list of all your accountants where you will click and you will select who you want to send this to, who from the AP team will be working on this document. Then you can also have the option to hit forward, and that's where the structures come in. So we have region A. Let's say if there were different accounts for like the Boston office and the LA office, you could have like region A, region B, but it's not something we're working with today. So I'm going to hit cancel. And then lastly, I'm just going to hit apply because I'm going to be working. So I just send that invoice to myself. So I will be working on that from my invoice going forward, which if I click there, you'll be able to see it. So that's how we will handle invoices. So want to go to the next?
Very nice.
Slide? Yeah. You want to go to the next slide? Sorry.
Oh, is it not showing up for you?
No, it's not showing. We're still on the same video.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
There we go. And so now that we know how we handle the invoices, how we receive them, we're going to go over streamlining of invoice management via SAP integration. What we mean is that we're going to be matching that information and making sure that everything in that invoice was accurate and that there's no fraud, and that we can integrate the information to our systems. So if you take us to the next one and click play, you'll be able to say that now that we have processed that invoice, right, the one that we were working just on, we can go to a little bit at the bottom where it says receive invoices. And in receive invoices, there's all the invoices that are being processed right now. And there's tons of information that we can visualize before we even clicked on them. There's so many of them with different statuses. But that's all the invoices, right? My account has the ability to visualize all of that. If I am just somebody from accounting, I would only have my invoices. I'll be able to visualize my invoices, the ones that I need to work on. And we have information from the vendor to the invoice number, if it's PO based, what the status of that invoice is, when it was received, last time it was updated. There's so much information. It's honestly a little bit overwhelming, but I know that all this information is very important. And you have due dates, you have who the accountant is, and some of my favorite stuff is that this is very easy to customize. So just because it's in that order doesn't mean that it needs to be in that order. You can simply click and drag if you want some information to be, right at the front, or you can click on the visible columns on the right side and you can select what you want to actually see. As you can see, I have everything selected because there's so much information. I want to make sure that it was there so you can all visualize it, all this information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on that invoice. So I will click on the status. As you can see, it is a new status, a new invoice. And this being a demo environment, it works a little bit different than if you were in a production environment, or the information would be getting synchronized as you wish for it to be, whether it will be every hour or it could be synchronized overnight or early in the morning. But you also have the option to click refresh at the bottom so you can synchronize the purchase order so you can match. So you can see the synchronization for the purchase order is happening in the background. And after that, I will simply just exit out of it and I will give it a couple of seconds for all that information to match. What it's doing that is all the information, all the POs that have been created in your ERP, it's being synchronized with CIP to make sure that we have the latest and the last PO that have been created, but also the information from the vendors, the information from the GRNs. There's just so much information. And so it's all being synchronized in real time right now. So when I clicked on it again, and I scroll down, I'll be able to click refresh and the information will pop up. As you can see, I have something that says, oh, warning, the vendor is not in the system. That's just an error because I just synchronized the information. So when I clicked out, now it says that we need to verify it. So we need to go on verification. And clicking back on that information, that message is gone because now we can see that the information from the vendor is matching with the system. There's all this information that we have here, like the structure billing. We have all, and the structure and the billing site. So if you have money that's coming from different places, you can select that as well. There's the customer information. And if you clicked on it, it will tell you where that information is coming from the invoice, but also that there's nothing being highlighted saying that that information doesn't match with our system, including the vendor information, the address, zip code, everything matches, everything looks fine. When we scroll down, we can see the invoice information, and that information, it's being matched with what's with our PO. From the invoice number to, you can see that it is an invoice, and if you can click on it, we can handle invoices without a PO. This one does have a PO, but we can handle invoices without a PO. You can see the date due, when they send it to us, when it's due, and you can change the date for, as an accountant, if you have a deadline, just because this invoice is due 30 days from now doesn't mean that I want to work on it 30 days from now. You can see the purchase order. Again, all this information is matching the vendor. And then lastly, at the bottom, you can see the billable lines for the invoice. So that information itself, it's coming from our ERP system. That is not something that we're grabbing from the invoice. We're trying to grab the information from the GRN and make sure that everything looks correct. So you can see like the quantity that was on the original PO, the quantity that was delivered, the PO units, everything from the dates to the document number. All that information is there. So everything looks fine. You know, you can make an order for 5 items and maybe only 4 get delivered. But as you can see, some of the information is not matching, which is the taxes. So when somebody created this PO, they didn't put a tax code for it, and you have the option to select the tax code that you will be grabbing for your system. So that way, all the information looks correct. It is matching. It is making all of this so much faster, right? We're going really fast. So I'm just going to click save. And now that information, as you can see, there's nothing highlighted that is an error. There's different options that we have here too, like you can attach documents. So if I needed to add maybe a document that came with it regarding the original PO, I could add it there. If I wanted to get it validated because the amount of this invoice is too high, I could ask David, I could do a request to create a good to pay request, meaning I just want to make sure, can you give me the go ahead to pay this item today, where I will select from the service to who I'm sending it to. I could send it to David, and I could ask David, hey, could you please validate this? Could you please tell me that I can pay this right now? And I will send it, and he will get a notification, and he would approve that or he will reject it, which I'm not going to send it to him because I know that this is good to pay. But there are other type of requests that I can do as well. Some of those requests could be maybe we need to modify the vendor, or we need to create the vendor if the vendor doesn't exist in the system. You modify it if it's been acquired by somebody else and they change their names. You can do an order creation if a PO has not been created for that invoice yet. An order modification if the price was different, or maybe they didn't send us as many as we order. A receipt creation if a GRN had not been created yet. Credit note. I mean, all of these are different options and ways for you to communicate with different staff members from different teams within CIP without having to email them separately, without having to call them, you know. And you also have an option for comments. Maybe I need to leave a comment saying like this was created last minute, but it needs to be paid today. Or events, and events are every time you make any changes to this invoice, whether it is a validation or a request, it will be recorded. So 6 months from now, when David says to me, hey, how come you didn't pay this right away? I can show him on the events, I sent you a request for you to validate it and you ignore it, David, because I don't know what you were doing. So it's not on me. So all that information will be there. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you have an audit trail and also a tool set for improved communication and collaboration.
And then after that, you can integrate the information, right? And by integrate, it means that I don't have to go into my ERP and manually type that information. It's something that takes seconds. And as you can see, the information as I'm scrolling all the way to the right, where it says integration, it says Park. On the other ones, it says Park, meaning that it is a draft into your ERP system. Why is it a draft? Because we know that errors could happen, or maybe you need to modify something else. So we want to make sure that the information that goes to your ERP is simply there for you to finalize, the human being at the end. But it is very simple to find what the number of that document is after with a simple click. And you can go to your ERP and search, with a simple paste. So now you can go into that ERP and it will take you to that original PO with all the information, and the information from that PO that has been delivered and it's ready for you to make changes for payment has now been added to your system. So all that information will be there with the invoice number, with the date of the invoice. The status is Park at the moment, but you can modify it and make changes, so you can do that. So you'll find all that information there. If you want, we can move to the next one just because I'm checking time and I want to make sure that we move through this pretty fast.
Is the next one? Or?
Yeah. No, you're still playing. You're still playing.
Okay.
So I want to go over different options. And lastly, I just want to talk about like invoice management and filtering and archival, right? I think that that's something really important at the end, because it's not just about receiving the invoices, making sure that the information is correct and then integrating it. Well, what happens a week from now when somebody asks you, hey, what's going on with that invoice? Or 6 months from now or a year from now, whether you might be having an internal or external audit from your department to see where all the information is, right? We know there are rules. We have some clients that they need to keep their invoices for 5 years, right? So how does that work? So let's go to the next slide. And here, we talked about the mail entries. We talked about the invoices, but there's also the other options there, like the requests. Every time I send a request to anybody, you will see there whether it's been completed or it has been approved. Those are all the requests that have been sent lately, because there's, again, the sent request, and then there's the my request, right? So those are the ones that I have personally sent out to somebody. And you can see when it's highlighted in red, it means that we're taking too long to actually complete those tasks. I don't know what's going on with you, David. Then there's the receive request, and then there's my request, and no one ever asked anything of me because I'm just perfect. And I can scroll down, and there's also the list of the completed requests. So it is very easy to audit all the information and to see who in the team maybe needs a little bit of help or assistance. There's users, which I don't want to really go over, but there's all the vendors. All the information from all the vendors is here. This information we didn't manually input it. It came from our ERP system, just like
It's
our
the
purchase
VMF,
orders.
the
Yes.
vendor master file.
Yeah, and just like the POs, every time a PO is created in your system, it will be reflected here. Lastly, I went very fast over tax codes, but if there were different tax codes that you need to include because maybe you're making a purchase from a state that taxes at 8% instead of 7 or 9 or 10, you can do that there. And we have GL accounts. Many times they have asked us, hey, what about like the accounts where the money needs to go for specific things like travel expenses, maybe petty cash? Like, do you have those? We have those codes as well, and we can create it to make sure that the invoices are being paid from the correct accounts. Lastly, you went over this very quickly at the beginning, but I wanted to show it when it comes to mail entries. Not every invoice that you're going to receive, right? It's going to be digital. Maybe there's a picture that you take on, so you go in manual update, and it's as simple as click and drag, drop on the file there, or you can select it, and you can select where that's going to go regarding a billing site. And the very last thing I want to go, which I think it's the most visual pleasing one, right, is the dashboards. With CIP, you also have this wonderful dashboards where you'll be able to see all the data, not just from like the last couple of days, but you'll be able to compare by month, by year, how many invoices have been processed, how many have been rejected, regarding the mail entries, invoices, payments, everything's here. It is data that you cannot change. So you can click on it and it will show you what is reflective, but you will not, nobody in your organization will have the ability to go and mess with it. And if you wanted maybe a different type of report, that's something that our developers can create for you. There was a report that is not included here. But you can see, you even see different currencies in there. And like I said, you can see different years. So we have quite a bit of information, and it is so much, right? Like CIP, there's so many things that we can do with CIP that we could just be here for hours and hours. But I want to stay within that hour time that we have. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of KPIs they can track, and this is going to be a huge boon for management, right? As they can
yeah,
kind of see the differences between years and just all of the stuff that people like to track. We can always track it with these visually pleasing graphics.
yeah. And so if you go to next slide now, just our contact info. If there's anything that you want to ask us, if you have some questions, if maybe you're like, everything sounds great, and you guys were talking about all this like SaaS and APIs, but I don't really understand what that is. You can shoot us an email, be in contact with us. And should we move on to questions like
Yeah, I
the
just
next?
wanted to add that we'll be happy to set up a demo if there's anything that you have any questions on and you want to learn a little bit more on a granular level. We can always offer you that time, whether it's my contact info or Juan's. We'll be ready and willing to help. But yeah, let's go over to the questions. So, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to take this time to send any questions in the chat box. We're going to wait patiently while those questions come in. But yeah, I mean, good job, Juan. It sounds like, I mean, it's a lot of information that you've
It
gone
it
over.
is it is a lot, but I understand that also like this is just a small section of what the AP team does, right? Like we're only going over three-way matching. What about two-way matching? What about an invoice that the price is different than what you had in your system? Things
Oh yeah,
fluctuate, you know? It's
I
a
know you've done
lot
a
of
lot of.
changes in pricing right now. What happens if there's like a discount? What happens if you get a duplicate invoice, right? This invoice has been
Right.
sent multiple times. Like how does CIP handle that?
Yeah, and the good
Uh,
thing is that it does handle it, and we have specific demonstrations and specific, conversations that we can have with those individuals. I actually see that somebody has just asked, "What is the average implementation time for your platform?" Do you think you can answer to that, Juan?
sure. I'm gonna answer, and then support is gonna pull my ear afterwards. They're gonna be like, hey. So it's a little bit different for everybody. I know that we have to look at what system is that they're using, and before we give a ballpark. But I have seen that our team has done it between 7 to 10 days for the implementation, meaning not only is just a connection to your system, but it's also all the steps of like training staff, training your IT team, figuring out how your invoices look like, making sure the AI is able to read them and handle everything correctly. So 7 to 10 days, which is pretty fast if you ask
That
me.
is, and it really is. I mean, I guess it just kind of depends on the response time of and like the momentum, but that there is between
Right.
the
I
people
I
asking.
know
But
that
yeah,
like if we already had a connections to the system that you have, which you heard all the systems that we mentioned at the beginning, and there are
yeah,
more. We don't want to be here going over and over, but
right.
it does make the time a little bit shorter, like a little bit faster. Yeah.
I do see another question coming up. Is it possible to configure hard stops in the event of discrepancy within the system? If you want, I can answer this one. Yes,
Sure.
indeed, we can configure those hard stops within the system, and it just kind of depends on the type of discrepancy, right? Um, to give you guys an idea, like a minor discrepancy is like a postal code or address mismatches. Our workflow is going to be able to set up the alert to alert the user, but the process is still going to continue. For critical information, like a bank account discrepancy, the workflow is going to be able to configure uh, to stop entirely. So this ensures that there's no incorrect payments, and we just kind of stops the processing right there because that it shouldn't be going in. Another thing is if your process requires email approvals or verification signatures, that can be replicated using a new workflow, right? Basically, not a new workflow, I should say, but more so like incorporating
I
that
mean,
into
like
the
a
Confio
mandatory,
invoice platform.
make it mandatory. Like you saw those requests that I was doing there. And so, I mean, we can set it up so it's mandatory. Maybe if the invoice goes over $10,000, it is mandatory to get it
Right.
good to pay, right?
Have an authorized signature on that. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
can all be in a in a digital environment. Um, there's a few other questions. We only have one time for one more out of the questions that have been submitted. Um, do you want to choose which is going to be the final question that we answer, Juan?
Uh, let's see. There's one here. Do you charge per users? And I know the answer is no. We don't charge per users. I believe that when we are trying to figure out what the price of the solution is, it's more about the number and the type of invoices, right? So like if all of your invoices look like they're 1, 2 pages, and there will be a number of invoices, that's what we will uh, price the solution. It wouldn't be because you have 5 people, you have to pay more. Maybe you have 5 people in AP that will be using the solution, but you can also grant access to um, somebody that works in the warehouse, somebody that works in purchasing, right? And not to the extent of the invoice, but to the request. They will be able to access and log in and approve or reject things. Uh, but we're not going to charge you by the users. We're going to charge you by the number of invoices annually.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Juan. And I mean, it sounds like we started 2 minutes after the hour turned, and now it's 2 minutes after the hour has ended.
Time
So
is, time is valuable. Really appreciate everybody that is here, and we understand, maybe it doesn't seem like an hour or like going over like 5 or 10 minutes might do much, but as you get closer to the end of month reports and all the stuff that you have to do, and you have to close stuff, 10 minutes makes a huge difference.
thank you, everybody. If you guys have any questions, if you guys want to delve a little bit more into it, just, you know, you guys are in the investigation phase, you guys are trying to learn a little bit more, feel free to, again, contact myself, contact Juan. Thank you so much for your time. We hope that we're able to meet you guys in a face-to-face environment, over even if it's over a webcam. And hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.